Hey, let's talk about parallels in life. Today, I have a pair of cheap Chinesium 6-inch hardened ground steel parallels for use in a vise. These go down in the jaws. I might take a pair of these out, put them in a vise, much bigger than this one, and you set them down there and they'd be nice and parallel and flat, and then you would clamp your stock on top of those, tappy tap, hold it down a little bit. Anyways, these things are way too big in height for this tiny little vise. However, the smallest end of the scale, these are quite decent. So what I did is I took these 6-inchers and I walked them over to the grinder and chopped them up a bit. So you can see now that in my case, I've got the normal 6-inchers, one piece, and then I've cut these down to where I have 4-inchers for my 4-inch vise and some little baby 2-inchers for this guy. So you can see them over yonder like that. So you would put a parallel in there, and then you'd put the other one on this side, a movable jaw, and then you might grab your material stock like this that's been face down and made all pretty and put it in, open it up a little bit here, and set it on the parallels so that it's flat to the work surface. And then the jaws on this little tiny lip, the difference between the height and the parallel to the moving jaw is what clamps it. So that gets in like so, and then this vise is a little manual in that we have to adjust this kind of push bar section depending on the material stock we're using, but put that in here, and then once this is tightened down a skosh, I'll be able to run in the clamping screw that squeezes the moving jaw up against the fixed jaw. So that's this little guy. So then we get this tightened down a wee bit, and I'm not cranking on this by any means, but a little bit torque, and then these are probably loose, so these parallel jaws are moving, which means that the material isn't actually pushed down into it. So what we'll do, we're gonna come over here and grab Mr. Tappy Tap Tap. This is a smaller one. I've got a rawhide hammer back here that I used in Machinelandia, as well as this Harbor Freight knockoff impact hammer, rubber mallet, and then more standard hammers. But these three are kind of like the machinist hammers that I'd use. So I'm going to use the little tiny guy. I also have chunks of brass, which, sorry, not brass, that's silly. This is copper. So I've got a copper beater bar, as we call them, and you can use this to tap in something. So we'll actually use this guy. So we know that those jaws, or the parallels, are loose, so we might just couple taps, see if that seated it. Oh yeah, that's snug. So now that that is snug, the vise is down tight, we know that that material base is flat against the parallels, which is flat against the work surface, which has been trammed in against the spindle so that it's straight. So I'm pretty stoked with this. Very happy. The only thing I don't have for it is a little bit of spring steel or something to keep the parallels flat when I open the jaws up, because typically when you open up the jaws on your vise, especially if you're doing like a lot of production work and you're pulling things in and out of vise jaws all day, you go like this and the parallels are going to go flop, and then you're going to have to pick them back up, and then you're going to have to adjust it, and then you have to stick the stock back in, and then ultimately they end up flopping around all day. So anywho, I'm happy. Yeah, a little bit of shop infrastructure for today. So it is December 23rd, 2021. Danny Blanchard here in the floating machine shop hobby barge. PCO, happy holidays.